What's going on, guys, and welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where I, Graham G. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the post-WrestleMania April 4th, 2022 edition of Raw Talk. From when I'm recording this right now, I'm about 12 hours removed from getting home from Texas, from Dallas. Had an amazing week in Dallas over WrestleMania weekend. Only just today having a chance to watch this edition of Raw Talk, hence why the review's going up today and not on Tuesday, which is usually when it does go up. Crazy to think I literally flew out to Dallas a week ago, but like I said, a wild, very fun WrestleMania week, and appreciate everyone I met in the area, WWE for having me out, etc., etc. But yeah, this is a good time for me to be recording this because my voice has been shot probably since, it really started to go on Friday or Saturday. I think WrestleMania Night 1 was really what killed it. By Sunday, it was gone. Monday, it was gone. Yesterday, it wasn't great. It was back quite a bit. It's probably at like 85% now. You could tell that my voice still isn't great. But it is starting to slowly but surely come back, and it sounds like I'm tired, which I am, but that's not why my voice is kind of gone. It's because I did so much talking and yelling and stuff like that during WrestleMania, so it was a really fun weekend, but I'm glad to be back on the grind of the regular schedule, because WrestleMania weekend was wild. I have a lot of things to catch up on. We still have to get to WWE Evil. I put up my first episode review on Monday. I actually recorded that last Tuesday, and I only put it up like a week later this past Tuesday. I got to watch more of those episodes, do more reviews. I've yet to watch Moon Knight. I'm not sure if we'll be reviewing that here on the channel at some point. I don't know. But yeah, as for Raw Talk, let's get right into it. That's what you guys are here for. As always, being hosted by Matt Camp, Jackie Redmond, and their special guest for this week was Jerry Lawler. Oh, yay. So to start the show, they replay the Roman Reigns promo that closed out Raw, where he basically proclaimed his dominance as the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, blah, blah, blah. They then run down the biggest headlines from the show, and honestly, I said this on Twitter, I thoroughly enjoyed Raw on Monday. I'm probably biased because I was there. But the crowd sounded a lot louder in person than it did on TV, from what I can understand. I saw a lot of people complaining on Twitter the crowd was boring. The crowd was quiet, all this other shit. I don't know, it didn't come across that way to me on in the building, but that's just me. But yeah, so I don't know, I thoroughly enjoyed the show for what it was. I thought quite a few things of significance happened as well. So again, like I said, I enjoyed the episode, but they recap the Austin Theory Usos win over Finn Balor and RK Bro in 6-man tag team action. We hear then backstage from Austin Theory, who says to Sarah Schreiber, "I don't want to discuss the past. I don't want to discuss losing to Pat McAfee at WrestleMania or getting stunned by Stone Cold Steve Austin on WrestleMania Sunday. What I want to talk about is the present and the future, and it could be soon that the United States Championship is around my shoulder," is what he says. Then he says to Sarah, "Listen, I got to go talk to Vince about getting that United States Championship opportunity, which I'm sure is coming soon." And at this point, Theory has beaten Balor so much, just give him the fucking title. The fact that Balor was even champion to begin with, I really don't know why they did that. They probably should have just had Damian Priest lose the championship to Theory, because Balor has done absolutely nothing as champion. He has lost so much, it's hard to care. But anyway, so he leaves to go talk to Vince and tell on Sarah Schreiber and all this other shit and go to bury her. And goes to bury her to Vince. Jerry Lawler thinks that Austin Theory's win will help his relationship kind of rebuild that relationship with Vince, because it was kind of strained coming out of WrestleMania. Theory lost to Pat. Vince had to beat Pat. Him helping Vince beat Pat kind of helped things, I'm sure, before they ended the evening being stunned and getting poured beer on by Stone Cold Steve Austin. So he thinks beating Finn Balor on Raw will kind of help mend that relationship. He also calls Austin Theory a teacher's pet, and that others probably on the Raw roster have professional jealousy because he's being looked at as the chosen one right now. He also acknowledges that Roman is currently in God mode, and Jackie Redmond questions what's even left for Roman Reigns to do, which is probably the question a lot of us have. He's the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. What more is there left for Roman Reigns to conquer and to do in WWE? He teased what's next for him on Friday's SmackDown. If we even find out then, who even knows? Matt Camp even said maybe it's a case of where he waits until Friday and says, "You know what, I'm not quite ready yet." And we don't get any answer, which is also very, very possible. Jerry Lawler says that he can't remember anyone dominating WWE quite the way that Roman Reigns has since he became champion 2 years ago. They then replay Bianca Belair's promo where she basically just celebrated her Raw Women's Championship victory. Matt Camp says that she's ready for everything, or ready for anything and everything, and that the loss at SummerSlam probably helped her get back on track. They then recap Sasha Banks and Naomi beating Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan in a championship contenders match. Despite the loss, Ripley and Morgan are getting a women's tag team title shot next week. Completely ass-backwards booking. We're obviously headed towards a split with Rhea and Morgan, but if they wanted to do this shit, and even this wouldn't make sense, it would have made more sense to do a championship match on Monday's Raw this past week, and then to give them one more shot in a championship contenders match the following week, as opposed to reversing it. That makes no sense. Anyway, so they talk about how Sasha and Naomi are riding a wave of momentum right now. We hear actually backstage from Banks and Naomi who say that they welcome all challengers from Raw, SmackDown, even NXT, which I'm sure isn't even a thing anymore because they have their own women's tag team titles that also mean nothing. But Banks said that they made history at WrestleMania, and that was about it. They replay Cody's promo from the beginning of Raw where he pretty much put the world champion on notice, that being Roman Reigns, and made his intentions known that he wants the world championship. They then recap Street Profits versus Alpha Academy in the Anything Goes match, which was very good, actually. It was a very fun match. Jackie Redmond says the Profits earned a championship opportunity, and the Profits, we hear them backstage with Kevin Patrick. They just kind of talk about getting back on track. Really don't say anything for all of 30 seconds while the interview's going on. Jerry Lawler says they just keep on winning. But Matt Camp says that if they want to win the Raw Tag Team titles, they got to be a bit more serious going forward. So we'll see how that kind of plays out in the weeks ahead if they turn heel or not. Redmond says that she got emotional watching Cody's promo at the beginning of the show, and Jerry Lawler says that Cody needs to do it for himself and not for Dusty. Like, he questions if Cody cut that promo with the intention of people, feeling bad for Dusty, and I don't know, it was really weird how we kind of worded it. I completely understood where Cody was coming from, and that's coming from someone who did not like Cody's promos towards the end there in AEW. The execution was fine. The actual material of what he was talking about was fucking terrible. And he seemed to be a lot more on course and on, he seemed to make a lot more sense with what he was saying during Monday's Raw. And I don't think it was a way for, unless Jerry Lawler was acting like a heel here, I don't think it was Cody's way of making people feel bad for Dusty. It was more so setting himself up to become world champion. They questioned Rollins' handshake. Why did Seth Rollins shake the hand of Cody Rhodes on Raw? Well, we got to tune in and find out next week, I guess. And Redmond kind of teases that there might be more bubbling beneath the surface. And they announced at the very end of the show here, they saved the worst for last, and announcing, and I saw this on Twitter on Monday night, that Jerry Lawler will be joining the Raw commentary team starting next week. Thankfully, only temporarily. I mean, I don't want to put thankfully and Jerry Lawler in the same sentence, but if it's going to happen, it's only temporary. That's great. Jerry Lawler at this stage is just intolerable on commentary. It's just absolutely awful. So any Jerry is just not good. But Corey Graves is getting married, obviously, legitimately to Carmella, so that's why he won't be on the show. I assume Jerry would only be around for the next 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks too many. It's going to mark his first Raw stint, I think, on commentary since 2020. He was on Raw a couple of weeks ago making an appearance with The Miz and Logan Paul. But on commentary, I don't think we've had him on the team since mid-2020, during the pandemic, when he made some, racist line, a racist joke about, Akira Tozawa and noodles or whatever. It was a really dumb joke, and it wasn't even funny anyway. It was very stupid. And they took him off of commentary after that, I think. He was on there for a while. They brought him back in late 2019 for some fucking reason, and he was awful then too. So hopefully we can get through the next 2 weeks swimmingly, and then we can go back to Corey from there. But anyway, pretty standard edition of Raw Talk here. No big surprises for the big post-WrestleMania edition. It's whatever. Really nothing to go out of your way to watch from this Raw Talk. The only thing we really learned was at the end, was that Jerry Lawler will be on Raw commentary for the foreseeable future, unfortunately. But thank you guys for checking out my Raw Talk review for April 4th, 2022. We're going to have my hashtag AskGSM episode for this week up later today, so keep an eye out for that as well. Have a great rest of the week, folks. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.